welcome to episode 23 of the British Boxing Blog podcast with me, Stephen.
And me, Andrew, both in the same room.
Both in the conservatory here in Gateshead, face to face. 23, over 23 months, probably longer.
It probably is, on a month. I'm sure there's like podcasts out there that are more recent than ours and they like doubled the amount of episodes.
New Age Boxing does that in 2 weeks.
Quantity, not quality. Quality, not quantity, I think we're going for.
Shola Amiobi episode.
Number 23.
Number 23, yeah.
Trying to think of somebody else.
Can you name any others?
Chris Tony.
Yeah. How are you doing? You alright? You good?
Aye, not too bad. Feels like we've got loads to talk about. We were going to do one last week. Every single time I think something happens, well, I'll do a podcast and about 3 weeks later we'll meet up and do one.
Leave it every 3 weeks and crap everything in from the last 3 weeks.
Without like leaving it and sort of having it a bit outdated, I think we need to address Eubank-Degale retiring because obviously I was away, you were bedridden.
Aye, covering for me operation, my ear operation. I would do.
I still haven't seen it. I'm going to be totally honest. I was meaning to catch up on it, and when we were going to do the pod straight after, I thought I need to catch up and watch it, and then I can at least talk about it.
Well, I think we don't have to go over in great detail the fight itself, but maybe it's just his decision to retire, which I think is the correct one. But the fight, just touch on it briefly, it just wasn't, wasn't a Degale that you'd become accustomed to over the years. It was more the Truax-Degale, and if anything, it was worse than Truax-Degale, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't look good at all.
From all the reports I've seen, it was
everything was off.
His legs were gone, his timing was gone.
Punch resistance, timing, just holding, just constantly holding. He
said before that it was his retirement fight, wasn't he? Yeah. I think what he meant by that was obviously it was the money fight that he was going to get and be able to walk from the sport, but obviously the result and the manner of it.
Well, that's
just sort of probably made his mind up for him. And like, fair play to him. He's got in. He's got out the sport. He's retired, not necessarily on top, but he's done well financially. Former world champion. I don't like the whole two-time world champion. If you'd be Truax the first time, you'd just be a one-time world champion.
Exactly. I like my gold medalist. Amazing having the career as well. But no, it was just it was one of those fights where you just. Eubank did what he had to do, and he was deserved winner.
It's interesting for him because I think it's like almost third time lucky in terms of big fights that he's now actually.
He had to win it, yeah.
You can argue he's timed it well against Degale, being past his best, but arguably Groves, who beat him, was past his best as well. And
well, that's it.
It's interesting now that they've gone, left a bit of a void in the super middleweight division. Where do you reckon Eubank sits in that now?
Well, it's hard to tell because, as you say, like. The stick that always gets thrown at Eubank is that every time he steps up in class, he gets beat, and as I said there, he's beat a past it to Degale, but on the flip side of that, he can only beat what's in front of him, and that's what he did handily. He had bigger shots, just everything. He was just on top.
I thought, like, thinking about that, I was like, well, like when he said, I'm at this sort of top table and all this, and you're like, well. Are you really you beat a past it to Degale? It answered more questions over Degale and what he had left than what Eubank's actually got going forward. But
I don't know.
I'd struggle to name 4 or 5
feature opponents.
Yeah, like bigger names than him. Like obviously Callum Smith's at the top of the tree.
He's not going to fight him anytime soon because
there's like Ramirez and all the faff on with him.
Caleb Plant.
Yeah, there's decent enough fights. Like Darrell, I think beat Yildirim the same weekend, and it's like. There's some decent fights for him there.
What are you feeling? It could be a fun fight.
If he can get himself a world title, like, obviously, not excluding the IBO there.
Well, that's it.
But, like, he can get himself in the mix, I suppose.
I think him and Rocky Phelan could be a good shootout, all domestic shootout, the two of them. Obviously, Rocky's coming off the Canelo loss, but...
Imagine that headline in the pay-per-view.
Well, that's it. Well, the Eubanks will stick to the ITV route, so I don't know, maybe...
It's interesting that, because they obviously swerved Golovkin and Sky and went with Matchroom.
Yeah. Senior made a big thing about it after the fight, didn't he? Saying, I've stuck my neck out for this channel, I believe in this channel, and blah, blah, blah. And, so that's the route he's going to go down. So, I don't know.
It's mental to think, he's never won a world title, and he's multi-millionaire off pay-per-view fights. Yeah. I suppose where boxing's going at the minute, isn't it?
Caleb Plant, maybe, come over here, not the biggest of names in America.
But, he'd be big enough, as a world champion to come over and...
Just Truax want another crack at some, but, at someone, and again, not the biggest...
I think he'd have his eyes on a belt, to be honest.
Not the biggest American name, is he? Do you know what I mean?
He's not, but it doesn't have to be. I think the Eubank name carries fairly well over here, and I don't know the numbers, but I can't imagine his fights against, Quinlan and Abraham did particularly well.
John Ryder would be another fun name.
But
You know what I mean? There is options. But
you should name him not world champion.
Billy Joe Saunders, if this fight with Shufty or whatever the hell he's called, fallen through.
Chef and Cookie.
Yeah, Chef Cookie. See how many ex-Newcastle strikers we can fit in this podcast. Again, that'll never go away for as long as they, you know, are both still fighting. I guess just a bit.
Yeah, like, it's always going to be there.
It's always going to be there, and they're always going to be sniping at each other, and you know. So again, it's an option. But whether this fight, Billy Joe's world title fight, goes through, I've got no idea. Which I'd rather see him against Eubank.
It doesn't seem to be at the minute because
because
I think last time we spoke, Ramirez was ranked in the light heavyweight rankings, but then he's since come on and said he's not vacating, so it almost sort of puts pisses on their chips, so to speak. Like he's moved up there. Oh, look, sell this as a world title fight for a vacant belt, 2-weight world champion.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's now in a eliminator against sort of nobody opponent.
The Wembley Arena.
Yeah.
The massive arena. But going back to Degale, I think I was glad to see the retirement announcement come through. I said this on Twitter at the time. It was sort of shades of Bellew Hay in a way. You know, you would think, and I said, and this got a bit of a funny response when I said on Twitter. I said, a peak Degale would beat Eubank, and then it seemed like a lot of people immediately after the fight wanted to do the whole recap on his career then, and people were, I've never been fussed on him, what's he ever done, he coursed through fights, and it's like, I didn't think that was the time to sort of pour, you know, shade on his full career, and maybe he...
No, but it's a funny one, because I've thought about it a fair bit, and he's never been unanimously popular, and he's never... You try and think, what was his sort of standout win? Obviously, he beat Darrell, but then what you're just saying there, like, you floored him in the first round, looked spectacular, and let him back into that fight and coasted through the rounds and deserved the decision, but...
His Lucien Boutte win will never get credit, well, because of the way Foch dealt with him, if you don't do this, the same, exactly, so you just think...
Like you said, a good career, he's fought on the road, some good wins, and like, from his point of view, he'll be financially set up.
I think there's a lot of...
Secure his future, but...
A lot of coasting years, maybe.
I think especially in looking back historically at super middleweights in Britain, we've got like Foch, you mentioned there, Calzaghe, Ben, Eubank, like Senior, Groves to a certain extent. Like
when Foch Groves were going at Degale, I called him his Blue Water years, he's Channel 5
he was on the fringe of it, and then he signed with Matchroom and thinking, right, I'm going to get this Foch fight, and then Foch at the time was looking towards Chavez in Vegas, and so he sacked off the IBF belt, and then Degale went and fought for it vacant, but he never had that, like, as I say, standout win or like a massive sort of win or a victory that turned the tide and got everyone in his favour and stuff.
I think if he managed to get the Bellew Jack, you know, over the line, if he didn't draw that one, which is a good fight.
Again, another mid-fight, absolutely quality, but then again, another one where he's started well and let his opponent back into it, and he's done enough. He's had some hard-fought wins and solid enough resume, but you can pick holes in it as well at the same time.
I was pleased to see him call it though. I think you can tell when you watch, you know, Hay was the example as well. Like legs, it was reminiscent in a way. The legs gone, punch resistance gone, and you just, it's not where you want to see. Do you know what I mean? He could chase the money, of course he could, but you know, I think it's good that his fights kicked in. He's thought, nah, sod it, I'll call it then, and you know, as we've touched on it in a few of our podcasts, we always do that generation's come to an end, and that's another one now to add to that list.
Right, is it?
Hay, Groves, Degale, that sort of
and
crossover.
This brings me on to my sort of issue. Well, one of the issues I've got a lot of issues this week. I need to rant. The next chat is I've driven all the way up from Darlington straight up. Just thinking in the car on the way, what am I going to talk about? But like, no, you look at the boxing this weekend, and obviously the Next Gen show. And there's been a lot said, especially on social media recently, like how the Next Gen, it's a good little concept, and it was originally spun and sold as midweek boxing or a Friday night boxing, in addition to your regular fight night on your Saturday night on Sky Sports.
Yes.
Now, when Eddie Hearn was talking about the Next Gen and all the rest of it, he was saying that pretty much every Sky Sports fight night was going to be a world title fight. Or have a world title fight at somewhere, maybe linked to an American card or whatever. Yeah. The issue is, most of his world champions have either passed like the torch on to the next generation, like obviously like Bellew and what have you, they've retired. Degale's now done the same. I know I'm not saying these are all strictly Matchroom fighters. No. They've all worked with Matchroom at a time. So when couple of years ago, Britain had 13, 14 world champions.
Listed,
it was easy to envisage. I put a show on a month. One of them can box it in their home arena or wherever around the country, and I can build around that.
Yeah.
Suddenly now he hasn't got those big stellar names to headline the shows. He hasn't got a long list of world champions that he can regularly put out.
So do you think he's and also the fact that I've touched on lately that he's sending a lot of names, the list is getting bigger, who are going to America to fight and get beat, most of them. And
I think, I think when...
Is he spreading his stable too thin, maybe? Or?
I think so. I think when they've initially come up with this concept of Matchroom USA, Matchroom UK has been in a stronger position.
And now it's going through maybe a transition.
And it definitely is, yeah. Like you've got, what have we looked at the last few fight nights, the sort of the bigger fight night cards have been headlined by European titles, which there's nothing wrong with that. You can have decent fights. Like, obviously, the Cheeseman fight was, was a good opponent for Cheeseman and all the rest of it.
That was a decent enough. That sort of, I guess. That was a decent enough card. It had a bit of a next gen feel though. Like I thought Richard's Jake Ball was going to be a cracking fight. And I was all for that. And I'm then this sort of saying you before we came on air, whatever, online. No issues with fights like React Paul McCarthy. Great, loved it. Didn't last as long as I thought it would.
No, on paper that I can't ask for more than that.
Stylish boxer against the big hitter, but against the novice. It
just seems like the overall, like they're saying, the labelling shows is next gen as a sort of excuse that it's not going to be as good as a regular show, and it's like, well, hang on a minute, that's fine if we're still getting the regular good content, but. To be honest, we're not. Like anything half decent at the moment seems to be slammed on pay-per-view.
It was a bit reminiscent as when they came up here and Josh Kelly boxed and it was his Brit against Tom Whitfield and in the Walker Dome in Newcastle, which basically a leisure centre hasn't been used since. I get the Jordan Gill one because I guess he is the next gen and he's one of the most recent feel-good matchroom stories. I think someone that's breaking out now and looks good and
he is, but
he's like part of that new breed that are now
in the same vein. He's now they're talking about like a European title shot again. Kiko Martinez got mentioned, well past his sell by.
I laughed at that. Good name on the record.
But that's the thing. It'd be a good name on the record. But then again, it's obviously is. I suppose Jordan Gill's had more than 20 fights now as well, so he's a bit more seasoned than the likes of Ritson and Cheeseman, who I think in hindsight were pushed on at the time. Thinking it's good fights for them, and again, it'll be a decent fight as a European title, but it's almost like as fans we're wanting a bit more than what is actually there. We're waiting for them to bridge this gap, but there's no one really that it is like you've got a lot of domestic level prospects like Ritson, like Gill, obviously, who are looking to get to that next level, and Cheeseman was as well. And then below that you've got like the 2016 Olympians who
and then you've got a lot of
haven't really had enough fights.
And then you've got a lot of people
who fight.
Who traditionally strongholds of matchroom would be like, say, Hull. You could have had Luke Campbell and Tommy Coyle on, and Luke Campbell is a bit out of the picture at the minute. Tommy Coyle is probably fighting in America again next, so you've lost that one. In defence of them, I think I like the look of the March 30th card in Liverpool.
It is a solid one.
Robbie Davis, no issue with that British title, European title. Fowler, Fitzgerald, do it. Like why
is that Liam Smith and Eggington?
Liam Smith, Eggington.
It seems like they've sort of realised where Eggington's ceiling is, I think.
At so.
That European level, chuck him in with Smith. Let Smith make a sort of statement.
Smith will beat him,
I think so.
Then initially, I think a lot of the Copper Box got a lot of basically it was essentially going to be the AJ undercard, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
which then got moved to the Copper Box. Buatsi, Conroy, no ish.
But again,
Buatsi will beat him. We know that. But
again, that's
it's British title fight. Isn't it?
That's like arguably what you'd consider the next gen sort of level. Like
that's
you've got a British and Commonwealth as your headline, your main event.
Richmond was going to defend as British,
and then
so it could be
that's a bit more stacked, shall we say, than the next gen card. But in terms of the level,
there is a fourth fight on that show. I'm sure there's 4 title fights, and I can't remember for the life of me what the other one was. Meant to be. Richmond. But I thought that was generally decent. As I said, it was obviously initially meant to be the AJ undercard, but then. I don't have issues with those cards and the Liverpool cards, but I get when you see the rumours today, that strong rumours on Twitter, again unconfirmed at this point, that Dave Allen, Lucas Brown's going to be a headline fight.
I could have cried when you told me that.
Dave Allen he says, I'm not sure, but if it is, I'll be very proud of something like which
I saw his status on
but it looks...
Again, it's like, this is how a lot of people will complain. And to be honest...
And I just think that, obviously, Lucas Brown...
Would you say that was better than... I don't want to sound harsh. But Dave Allen hasn't got a British level win on his record.
I don't want to say it's small hall, but I just think it's
area level.
It's...
If I'm being massively critical and brutally honest.
And Brown had that one good win against Chagayev. Was it Chagayev?
Chagayev, yeah.
Allen's fought it against, say, like Nick Webb and that. Do you know what I mean? He's fought a bit
area
above.
Level, as I say.
English, we'll call it English.
I will say English
fringe
level.
British level, right? To be generous. But I think, and obviously...
Is that what we're now expecting, though, from a headline?
No, nah. That should be 8 o'clock, third from the top of a decent bill. You know what I mean? Like, and the worst thing is that, obviously, people may not know, but Lucas Brown had a tune-up fight the weekend, which he got put in his arse. And that video's going all around Twitter of Kamil Sokolowski, which if you've ever been to a small hall show, and you would have seen...
Yeah, you'll be aware of him,
You'll know his name, and
he is dangerous.
He's a game enough little pull.
He's like banana skin, isn't he, for like anyone who's not particularly good. And then Lucas Brown looking at...
That now adds to that farce of, like... How, you know what I mean?
Well, what do you remember Lucas Brown from now? Like being
sparked out by Dillian White.
Absolutely flattened by Dillian White.
But you can hide behind the former British. I don't know. It leaves you a bit cold. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't. But that's the strong rumours today that it's going to be announced as
the thing with that fight is, it has the potential that the two sort of limited heavyweights that will slug it out and it'll be an absolute barnstormer. And then afterwards you'll have all the matchrooms. Oh well, this is we put an entertaining fight and all the rest of it. But no, it's not. That's not deliberately.
But I have no issue with the fight.
Good fight. It's just
no. I have no issue with the fight because it probably will be a close matchup and it should be kind of fun.
But what was meant to happen with that one? Like, where was that meant to be put on? Because is it
maybe an AJ undercard?
Again, is it like was there a Dillian White date apart from the AJ at Wembley date? Was he meant to be fighting at some point?
Possibly.
Because this happened with Okoli and Chamberlain, didn't it? That was meant to be a Dillian White card at the O2.
They had the O2 booked,
and suddenly suddenly they end up headlining.
But
so obviously you've lost out on Wembley.
I've got no issue with the fight. Like I think it could be fun, like you say. What's nothing?
But as you say, it should be a chucked on an undercard somewhere.
Nothing wrong with two heavyweight. I'll not call them contenders, but yeah, it'd be fun. We'll just go at it. But it's the fact of...
I've got loads of fringe British level boxers that you could put in and have a good fight.
How pricey and we're bloody... You know what I mean?
No, but even on small hall fights, we've seen plenty where you chuck them in fringe English level.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean that they should be headlining the O2.
That's what I mean. Maybe they've kept the venue and doing what they're doing. But
they'll have to pad that undercard out.
But with who? That's the next question.
Well, this is it. I mean? As you say, because a lot of them are going stateside, do they have that depth to cover all the shows?
Probably not, no. But, well...
I think I saw a tweet earlier, I can't remember who it was from now, saying about Conor Benn, Josh Kelly not necessarily fighting each other, but they'd be on the undercard of they'd be on the undercard of like that fight. And again, it's just sort of almost like, well, who have we got in the matchroom stable? It needs a tick over fight. Needs a run out.
I think Next Gen can work. I think there's been some good fights on that in the past, and I've been to a couple myself. Rich and Joe Murray was on there on a Sunday night in Manchester last year.
British. There you go. Sunday night, British title. Friday night, midweek, headlined by a British title fight, and then you don't mind the local prospects getting runs out.
Paul Highland and Peter Cope. I can't even remember who headlined that one. It was a call, and it was good.
A couple of area level fights.
But now there's sort of obscuring it now, maybe with
the lines getting blurred. It
has a familiar sort of, it has that regular fight night feel. Maybe.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit, and we'll talk about like the European title fights when I'm assuming it was when Eddie Hearns first started with Matchroom and stuff, and again didn't have the real depth to the stable or the quality world champions to call on. And you had like the likes of, and no disrespect to them, like Paul McCloskey fighting for the European title as the headline, and Darren Barker when he won the European. And again, it was like, okay, these are sort of, for want of a better term, the next generation. And it was you know, they've gone through the British level, they've gone through Commonwealth at European level, and they're making that step up. And if they had, apart from AJ, if they had some other legitimate headliners fighting on Sky Sports Fight Nights, you wouldn't mind. Like,
well, that's it. And I guess they'll try and push people like Buatsi in that direction now, who's going to go
Yeah,
for British.
again, we mentioned Josh Kelly. As I say, those 2016 Olympians.
Coley, you know, is another
the
one.
pressure's on them
to now keep going. Josh Kelly needs a big fight soon. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, he was linked with Avanesian, wasn't he?
He's going to fight. Avanesian's going to fight Laharaga in Spain.
Yeah, I'd fight that.
Decent
that would be a good one to get. I would watch that in a Sky headliner.
Well, if someone picks it over here, like, you know. But then someone was saying, will they? Who was it that was saying? Might have been Martin New Age Boxing. Will they put sort of Dave Allen, that sort of show on the same night as Conor Crawford and bundle it all in? Not to that, but or would you have Dillian White headlining that, who's now a
well, that was it.
Pay-per-view star on his own.
Chisora was meant to be on it.
Chisora was still linked to that undercard.
He's with the undercard, and it's like, how's he now on a Dave Allen undercard?
Well, that's it. I know. That's mad.
I don't think he's particularly a big name necessarily. He's obviously on a sort of crest of a wave with them in Chisora, like for popularity.
It does seem harder,
getting in amongst it.
It does seem harder for them to fill shows, and as I said, you've got people like Luke Campbell who inactive at the minute. Kell Brook, God knows what his next fight is still about.
What weight?
What weight, when, who, where. You know,
it just seems to be a whole raft of fighters in limbo.
Ritson, who was a Fight Night headliner last year, you know, European title, no issue with that. Who's now moving up in weight? Who's going to sort of feel his way through 140? Do you know what I mean? So that's him out of the picture headlining wise at the minute. So you are got a lot of there's that sort of, which is why I guess I've got no issue with Coley, Camacho and Buatsi, Conroy, because I know the Buatsi will smash Conroy. I like Conroy, but he'd beat him.
Yeah,
but
you'd think so.
He has to. What do you want? Not to fight for the British title? I think he has to, and like.
No, again, this
is it. Fitzgerald's a good one and all, and people,
yeah, that's a cracking little fight.
Good fight that. I like that fight, but Callum Smith again. Nothing lined up since Groves. You know what I mean? Like you hear his name, he'll be fighting you a bit.
Callum Johnson, the one.
Callum Johnson again, who's trying his luck at the States.
Yeah.
The McDonald's, they've never really built shows around the McDonald's. Alright, Gav's something more. Jamie's fought away quite a lot of the time. Again, don't know what they're doing. So you could list off the whole roster. Well, not quite a lot of the roster at the minute.
Yeah, it's a big chunk.
Who are either inactive, waiting for fight dates, or in the States. Do you know what I mean? Like Tommy.
Yeah,
mentioned before. Tommy Coyle, like
Crawler from Gamble. He's obviously fighting Lomachenko. He's going away to fight him. But he was like a sort of staple of headlining Manchester shows, wasn't he?
Manchester,
but again,
constant Manchester.
When he had that world title, he had that bit more value to him, and you could say, well, actually, yeah, he's a world champion. He can headline a show. Whereas now, you think. Unless he's fighting a big name, obviously, I know he fought Ricky Burns, and like he's going away to fight Lomachenko, like
Burns,
like
Ricky Burns, another one. You know what I mean? Many good nights in Scotland with him,
but then
again,
he's just been
last
like
career
undercard fodder, hasn't he? Recently, like
roll of the dice now. Would he go away? You know.
I thought that was the case against Figueroa, and then he's had about 10 fights
since
then.
That's it. It is a good point. Like obviously, Bellew bound.
There was rumours of Burns replacing Baranchik as well in the Super Series.
It is definitely, I think, but then again, without focusing solely on Matchroom, I think the frustration with many people is that their slow start of the year, and they have had a slow start of 2019 dates-wise, is that nobody else has capitalised on this.
Yeah,
and I think that's why we and other people got frustrated with Frank Warren's announcement the other week on BT Sport, because he had a big chance there to like do something quite special, and he sort of had an announcement, a press conference about announcements, and it was just a bit odd.
And
like nothing happened at that.
This seems like what it's been like the case of, and like obviously we talked a little bit on Saturday Night Show, and we'll go and review it in a bit more depth. But like, I think because that wasn't of great quality, people do end up talking more about the announcements, and that's why we're getting. I'm not going into it again, but like the purse splits and all that sort of stuff. All the sideshow of it becomes the main event because there's not the quality of actual boxing there.
Totally. Scott Quigg, along the lines of Crawler, like he was one of them.
You got like boxer Tourette's.
Yeah, but you could hang your hat on. Him and Crawler being on the same Manchester card, they were just Scott Quigg, Crawler, Quigg, Crawler, Crawler, Quigg. Know what I mean? Again.
Yeah, because as I say, like Crawler was world champion, Quigg had his regular belt, so there was a bit of value, and then
familiar name of people in this country though, and again, someone
suddenly
else
he's at the point where
he's part of the abroad lot.
He's gone away.
You know what I mean? So again,
the chance in their arm a bit because
you've missed the boat. Like
they haven't got that world title anymore, so they need to risk it a bit more and go away from home.
But then, like Frank Warren again, he's got a chance to, you know. You just think when that Billy Joe Saunders news came through the other week, and you were underwhelmed by that, and now he just makes himself look like another bit more of a laughing stock. That it's in jeopardy. Like the shit fight that he did make
is now not a world title.
Like
sorry, I've got the explicit
Warrington.
Lyrics advisory sticker on.
I like Warrington Galahad. I think that's a proper fun.
That's a mandatory.
I know it is.
Like,
I like it.
You can't complain because it's been made. But if it
it
wasn't a mandatory, there's not a chance that Hearn and Warren would have got together and thought, I know, we'll make Warrington versus Kid Galahad. We'll send Kid Galahad over to your show. Oh, that's not going to be pay-per-view. We'll just put it on as a normal thing. Blah, blah, blah. But it's probably the best fight that's been made this year.
Yeah.
Like in terms of UK, anyway.
Well, that's it.
I mean, obviously, I know it's Eubank-Degale and thingy, but Eubank.
His stable, and I guess Van Warren's in a similar state of Hearns in the fact
Would you argue that
go on,
Warren's stable is a little bit further on? So take Joshua out of the equation, because obviously he is the main man in terms of drawing figures and all this.
Well, I've got a response.
Because Warrington obviously is a legitimate world champion, coming off 2 career best wins.
No complaints about Warrington. Probably the class. Frampton, file him under the same category now as people like Kell Brook, where is
on his way out,
next?
But still a name. Still, I'm going to be biased because I love him, but still a talent.
Love Frampton.
Then you've got not necessarily in terms of Warren's stable, but you've got Conlon, who's like MTK fighting on Box Nation, and BT,
decent,
that
good.
side of the channel. Obviously, Billy Joe Saunders, who again,
I think
whatever's going on with him,
exactly.
You could put him in a bit like he should have been fighting Andrade, really. He's up there at the top of his division. Yeah. If you rank him at middleweight, and then
I think they're all. I think, as you say, but Frank Warren's biggest names, right? Tyson Fury tied up in announcements.
Of course, yeah.
We don't know what's going on with him.
So say him and Joshua sort of cancel each other at the top.
At the top, right? So then you go down from that Frank Warren stable. Then you've got Billy Joe Saunders. So at the minute we'll call him underwhelming / inactive / don't know what's going on. He's got that fight.
Could you compare him then with Kell Brook?
So
they're matched up in
confusion around them too.
Yeah.
Right? So then you've got Frampton. Love Frampton. Huge fan. Loved him for years. But you could possibly say he's just coming off a loss in that sort of same. You
could still put him in some good fights, but
mid-fight if
is he what he once was?
Maybe not. No, but he's still a genuine star. But needs at the minute he's. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, needs a dance
partner. Then you got Frampton.
Similar to Joe Campbell, maybe.
Aye.
Again, I'm not saying. I'm just in my head. I'm trying to compare them, like from what we've said there.
Then you've got. And then I guess when you go further down, Warrington, no issues class, genuinely had a mid 2018.
I don't know if that's the thing. I don't know if Matchroom have got someone to put on that. Obviously, they had Warrington, but if they've got a legitimate world champion who we would say Callum Smith, maybe he's
we leave ourselves open to.
It is I'm thinking
we forget someone.
Yeah, but it is. We will inevitably forget someone. We literally haven't planned this. We've just decided now we're going through like a ladder comparing the two of them.
But then I guess when you go, maybe your Boatis and your Ricolis are possibly similar to your Anthony Yards.
I was just thinking Boatis and Yards. Obviously they've been linked.
And obviously you've got your Dubois, who's their heavyweight sort of prospect.
And I think at this level. When we're talking prospects, this is where Matchroom have the edge a little bit. You haven't really got anyone ready to headline, but because they've signed that crop of Olympians,
they agree with that.
They have a slight edge in that in terms of prospects and how well they've been marketed and stuff.
And I tell you, a fighter I would do who's another fighter is Liam Williams, defends his first title this Friday. A solid fighter, unlucky a couple of times against Liam Smith, but. That win against Mark F. He's funny. That win against Mark F. was a cracking win. Fully expect him to beat Mullender this Friday, who's a game lad, but I expect Williams to beat him. And I like that. Just he's similar to Robbie Davis, British champion. You know what I mean? Different ways, obviously, but
but as I say,
solid.
That was my main point initially. That if you just sort of asked the casual fan on the street who had the better stable, and again, there's all this divide of Team Hearn and Team Matchroom FC and all that shite. But I don't think there's light years between them there, as we just sort of pointed out. There's not as big a difference.
No. I think Frank's lost a bit of momentum at the start of this year. Obviously, his Leicester show went tits up with Sam Bowen, who's a good fighter.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's a good fighter, and I think he's probably failed to capitalise on Matchroom's slow start as well. But then
I think Frank sort of stuck a little bit with the image that he's had. Well, Matchroom have been on the ascent.
Yeah.
Warren almost was sort of just cast aside, wasn't he? And again, I'm just talking purely from a casual fan point of view. Lots of them just really took to Eddie Hearn and that whole matchroom vibe and stuff, and it was like almost like, oh, Frank's having the show cancelled, blah blah blah.
But say Frank's Holy Trinity is Fury, Saunders, Frampton with Warren. Well, the four, right? Four. You've got Ginola, Ginola, Gillespie, Sheeran, Ferdinand. Right?
No balance at all then.
Beasley's a bit further back. Right. So then, if you get them firing on all cylinders, and you but at the minute.
Well, how long have we said that about Billy Joe Saunders?
I know.
Getting him firing on all cylinders. Fury's been out for however long.
I know.
Don't know what's happening with him next.
No.
Like it's frustrating from a fan point of view.
From both stables, there's a lot of people either tied up in announcements, waiting for announcements, or just playing the waiting game, I guess. But at the same time, I guess, we should work for one of these. We could juggle the schedule. But at the same time, you've got dates to fill. So, thanks. I like the Albert Hall idea this Friday. I think, you've seen all the clips and everything. Iconic venue.
I think as well.
I forgot it was this Friday until earlier on today. But then Nicola Adams was pulled off that. She's meant to have a world title fight, which, so you've got Anthony Yard. I think you've got Dubois. Is Anthony Yard on it or not? I think he is.
Yeah, he's fighting from Reeves.
Something like that.
I want to say I know who Reeves is, but I'm not too familiar.
I think, I seen a thing today. I think it was, what's he called, man?
Oh,
Joe Joyce's manager.
Sam Jones.
Sam Jones.
Is that him?
Because Frank was making noises today. I think it was the Daily Star or something, saying, Dubois Gorman will be made this year. And Sam Jones was going, this is career suicide. Why they're fighting now? And someone else is going, you're the reason why boxing's dying, avoiding fights and all that. And you were like, I think the best thing Frank could do is make that fight. Like, just make it
spark a bit of interest. Like,
a defeat for one of them is not the end of the world.
No, they're both young enough to come back. This is the thing. And
the nation.
This is probably why I'd be a terrible boxing manager, because I want to chuck me boxers in with anyone and be like, a good fight that, I want to see that fight.
If Frank Warren wants some goodwill, if he wants to shake off that tag, which maybe it's unfairly labelled to him, which he gets from stuff like the Billy Joe Saunders announcement being put in jeopardy, for know what I mean, or the Leicester show being cancelled within 4 days' notice. Or
yeah, again, it's a lot of stuff out of his control. But
if you want to shake that off, then make Gorman Dubois. People be like, bloody hell, Frank's put.
But he was the one who made Degale Groves going back. Like, he was obviously mentioning Degale.
He's made Frampton Warrington late last year.
He's made some good fights.
I just think I would love to see that fight this year. I think why not?
Again, it
look
goes
at
back to that frustration.
Look at Degale and Groves that you just mentioned there. Degale lost and never did his career any harm. He
won a world title before Groves.
He bounced back from that.
He won the European title in his next fight.
Groves lost against Froch. He had a little decent,
But this is it. It happens. It does, and like people, for whatever reason, like again, when obviously talk about purse splits and all the rest of it, like I think it comes back to like Mayweather. Like him protecting his own. Lots of boxers, I think, look, and like aspiring boxers look at Mayweather, and rightly so. Like, look at his accomplishments and stuff, but they also look at his lifestyle and think, he's got all the money, he's retired undefeated, he was like the A side in his fight, he picked and dictated the terms and stuff, and they want to do this, but they want to do it almost running before they can walk, walking before they crawl.
We hear rumours up here in the northeast that people, like you said the other week, price themselves out of northern area fights, and you're like, it could be indicative of boxing as a whole.
I think it is. It's spreading, and
he's not ready, and he wants to wait, and it's that risk and reward thing. What's he waiting for? Do you know what I mean? Some names you hear,
like half of them again. Anyone, I preface it with like anyone who steps through the ropes deserves and gets my respect, 100%. But some of them you think, well, hold on, like, who do you actually think you are? Like, trying to say, no, I need this much, or like, you're not paying me enough and something. It's like, hold on, like, you need to prove yourself. What a lot of them seem to forget is like Mayweather fought and won world titles in however many divisions before he got to that sort of pay-per-view star point.
Exactly, which is why I've got no issue with fights like, say, we touched on before, we had Paul McCarthy on Saturday night.
So I was just saying, we'll have a look at that card.
On paper, I thought that was, I said to you, I said, I don't know which way to go. I said, I think I fancy McCarthy points. Because, exactly,
Sorry, Tommy, but that destroyed any chance you had of winning.
Thinking back to that John Lewis Dickinson fight a few years ago, and I know he's been a bit inactive since, but and Riakpo wasn't great against Hyde that, but
McCarthy's a talented amateur. I think they put him in.
It's a 50-50. But
he went in the favourite, I think.
That raw power of Riakpo against the sort of skills of McCarthy, and the raw power prevail on this one, and I've got no issue with. I love it. It's a good fight that, and
you know what was refreshing though, like
afterwards, to take that after. He's had Sam Hyde and Tommy McCarthy as his last 2 fights. He's only 9 fights in or 10
Well,
fights
this is
in.
what I'm saying. Eddie Hearn afterwards was like, you were a novice, and he looked, he was raging.
Because McCarthy called him that through the week, and he was a bit about that.
But he was like, no, like, no disrespect, but you are. And then Dillian White was saying, like, we need a couple of fights, and a little bit of warm up and improvement before we fight a Coley.
Yeah.
And then he said, like, he almost sort of corrected himself into management speak and was like, but he'd beat a Coley now. And it was like, no, you can't have that both ways. You can't say he needs a bit of seasoning and then say he would beat a Coley. So then obviously a Coley's kicked off on Twitter.
Some decent little names in that.
And it's all sort
of... Obviously
Isaac Chamberlain, Luke Watkins. I know he lost a couple recently, but like...
Luke Watkins,
all these sorts of decent names. I mean, the Sam Hyde rematch would be a good one.
I like a story like that though. Someone that comes from nowhere and just, you know what I mean? Like, I never heard of Yakpo until before Sam Hyde.
No, like, obviously you mentioned UH Boxing before. I know they've mentioned him previously and stuff, and like he's sort of, I think, respected and touted a bit in the London scene. Obviously he's trained in Miguel's gym and stuff, and like, again, he's obviously he's got the raw tools. I think when he had McCarthy hurt, he was winging away a little bit, and there were a couple of very wild shots.
But looking back on the replay,
you knew as soon as he caught him clean again, it was going to be all over, and obviously the ref jumped in and like rightly waved it off. So it's another win, and again from someone like that who's not coming from this sort of immense amateur pedigree, hasn't got all that hype behind him. I don't mind him now. He's had 2 tough fights on the bounce. And yes, as a boxing fan, I want to see him in competitive fights. I want to see fight Sam Hyde, fight Watkins, fight Chamberlain. I wouldn't mind if he's then on an undercard somewhere, out of the spotlight a bit, in a 6-rounder against somebody. I like get him these sort of learning fights now, and then push him on, because if he's not ready for British, then there's no point chucking him in at that level.
Exactly,
calling the Coley out and all the rest of it.
Basically at that level, if you beat Hyde and you beat McCarthy,
this is it. But then, as I say, just from what they were saying, they were like, oh no, he's like, he needs a bit more time and all the rest of it. That's fine. But then
Camacho is another name. Obviously,
then it comes on to my next gripe.
He could fight Camacho if Camacho. I don't know.
I'm ticking these off now.
Go on, shoot.
It's for a WBA intercontinental title.
I know.
So does he then get into the top 15 in the world rankings? Because who's that benefiting? Apart from long term, if the promoter then wants to sort of have another one of his fighters get a world title shot, and they've got this nice cosy relationship.
I guess that's what it is.
It's not going to benefit Riakpo having that sort of target on his back.
And to him,
there'll be other boxers looking.
No, he's probably not. No, but again,
he's got a ranking. I could have that.
He's got a belt, but maybe people just like belts. He used to say up here, British Masters belts. People like to have a belt. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
He's not at British level yet. He's apparently 15. Like, I'm not saying he is now, but he's going into the world rankings.
You've seen a lot of it on the recent MTK sort of in-house shows that they do, which I really enjoyed, by the way. There was another good one on Friday.
No, I didn't see it.
Akeem Ennis Brown won over 10 rounds. Remember against
Glenn Foot.
Yes, beat Glenn Foot a few years back. Came up in, shocked Glenn Foot at the Summer Rumble, and he beat Bilal Raymond over 10 rounds, and it was good. But again, you see a lot of them on that show, on those shows, who they're fighting for like the governing bodies European belts. Sonny Edwards, Ryan Farrar is another example.
But like Sonny Edwards came out afterwards and he was like, it's never been my dream to win the WBO European title. I want to win a British, I want to win a world. And I was like, fair play to you, lads.
I've just sort of thrown us onto a different topic here, but as we've sort of not slated but looked in depth to sort of Fan War and Matchroom sort of slow start 2019, I think these all MTK shows that they're putting together deserve a bit of praise, to be honest, because they're on IFL, the streams are perfect. You've got Alex Steadman, Barry Jones commentating, and if Friday night you're in, then you're not,
But no, this is it. This is exactly it. At the moment, I think that is filling the gap of that additional content. And the Wagner does a Friday night,
and I love.
It's a sort of tier below. Sorry to interrupt. It's a tier below what we were talking about there in terms of your world title fights. Yeah. But again, they've got the quantity, they've got a good depth of stable where they can just match them against each other.
And they've stated that they want to put a title fight on every show, and there was another
one. They're
not
asked about protecting the fighter zeros.
Another fighter that I'd never seen before until last year, I think it was Michael Mackinson, and he fights again, I think, in the next few weeks. Proper stylish fighter. He beat... I'm doing the West Ham thing. West Ham fan.
Sammy
McNess.
I knew you meant there as well.
And, you speak to... our friends will be like, you watching who against who for what? But like they're actually genuinely 50-50 fights.
No,
like,
this is what I mean. This
when we
like,
used to go to Lancaster
in
Street
the
and
cards
watch,
of the bigger shows.
when we used to go to Lancaster Street and we watch say like Glenford Kirk Guns and that.
Aye, that's exactly what I had in my mind. It's absolute war.
We're club for Buchanan.
You know, this is what I mean. You put those sorts of fights on.
And I just think credit MTK for doing that.
There's definitely a gap in the market for that sort of thing. They're filling it like
fights like Jimenez Brown there. I've just named Sonny Edwards, Mackinson. There's more coming up, and you just think mint. And I enjoy it, and it's really good crack, and it gets you familiar with the names, especially this one's in Cardiff, the other one's in York Hall that I watched, and I think they've got a few more coming up as well. That was the big selling point. One is 6 shows in 6 weeks. And,
well, it takes us on to one of our questions. We've got a few.
We've got one coming up here.
Exactly. That's what I thought we were going to mention that. Now
MTK.
I thought that was going to be a seamless plug because obviously we've had the maiden MTK Newcastle show, the dinner show, where obviously you attended that one, and then we've got the one coming up on the. You're going to fill in the date there.
Friday the 3rd of May.
I thought it was that. I knew it was beginning of May.
I'm scheduled to be at a gig that night, but the more I hear about this show, the more I'm tempted to sack this gig off.
Well, I'll be there anyway, BBB will be in attendance at that one.
Bit of background, I think they're going to do it again on IFL TV as part of them sort of Friday night series that they're doing at the minute, which I've just said that I love. The last one up here was in December. It was like a 4-fight dinner show.
It was almost a showcase for
like a charity show
for the MTK Newcastle boxers, wasn't it, specifically?
They had 3 of them on from that gym.
Whereas this one's going to be
and Darren Richardson.
The sort of wider MTK global stable, I think, a few of the fighters are getting involved in.
Yes, I think there's already a fight that.
And a little bit on the venue.
You know, it's a venue that we heard about a lot. Steve Wraithers used to try and big it up. I remember to Eddie Hearn and stuff saying, there's a great venue open in Newcastle and it's going to be class, it's ideal for this, and that's where they're doing it. It's the new home of the Newcastle Eagles basketball team, so I think it's better than say the water
3,000-4,000 or something. 3,000.
We've touched on this before, that we lack a venue up here that sort of bridges the gap between arena shows and like small hall,
which we've needed, because I think he's talking about our friends being sort of cynics and like if we've said there's a show on at Gateshead Leisure Centre or wherever, and like the real small hall gritty venues, they just sort of turn the nose up a bit at it, thinking
the Lancaster Suite does a job, and so does Waiting Meadows, but there's that.
And for us, they're perfect little venues. So we've seen some cracking shows at them, but
if you want to sort of do that middle range show, like they're going to do,
it's that next tier up almost, isn't it?
I think a fight on there and it's a fight that we talk about a lot. That's already been announced. Is Darren Richardson fighting for British title?
Yeah, I mean, gets a fair bit of hype from us
against Kieran Gethin. I think he gets hype because he's starting to step it up a bit now. He's fought Kane Baker, and he's fought the one on the undercard you went to in Glasgow.
I know, I can't remember the lad's name.
I know terrible. Oh God, what was his name again?
But just wait, I'll Stephen Boxer X him. But like obviously he's scored some lovely stoppages on those cards, on the World Super Series cards, and he's signed with Sauerland, so he's not strictly an MTK fighter, but there's sort of strong rumours. I don't know if it's officially confirmed, but he's going to be fighting in a British title eliminator, as Stephen's just said there.
Kieran Gethin, I think, and that's what I mean. He's not
like the chance for him to really push on and kick on. Obviously, he's trained by our good friend Dave Binns, same trainer as Glenn Foote and the Hill brothers, among others.
And I think he's keen to push on now. Like Kane Baker was a decent enough test for him, and then Troy James was the one he beat in Glasgow again, a game opponent. And he's then seen him fight Oscar Amador, who Richardson once fought, taking over in December. But again, Darren sort of.
Because he had a bit of bother with injuries, didn't he? And like last time we spoke to him, we did a video interview, which is on our YouTube channel, like a while ago now, at least 6 months ago. And he was just itching to get back in the ring then. So it's really nice for us to have seen him kick on and get a bit of momentum behind his career.
He's sort of bridging that gap now between prospect and sort of contender now, I guess, where he's not just boxing the 40-36s. Do you know what I mean? He's looking for meaningful fights now, and he's a former Northern Area title holder as well. But I think when you went to Glasgow, you got into that camp, didn't you? You were up there and you spent time with them
backstage. I was loving it.
So again, that's a good fight for that show as well, and I think it's good. It'll be good to have them up here, and just obviously touching on what I touched upon there, York Hall, Cardiff, and repeating that format up here. And we were asked a question by Gary Forrest.
We were. I was just going to come into that one because I think naively thought, having sort of seen the previous MTK show up here, and looking at this one, I thought, oh well, Darren's going to be headlining that in his British title eliminator. But Gary Forrest has asked for some sensible recommendations for the top of the bill fight for the MTK Newcastle show on May the 3rd. And we will see if we can get it made. So, for those that aren't familiar, Gary's obviously, I don't know his official role, but he's working with MTK Newcastle, obviously to try and knit everything together there. So
yeah, he put a cracking night on at the
Hilton
last year. He was the brains behind that. He's a very successful businessman up here and stuff with a love for boxing, so I think he's involved in that. So here's our first attempt at matchmaking. What you got for me?
This could be the big breakthrough. No pressure.
The new Tom Dallas.
Honestly, sat there all the way up thinking, right, who can I put in? Who can I find here? Because I said initially I didn't want us to look stupid. So I was like, what sort of level are we looking at? We're going to put our matchmaking hats on for this one. And then he said British Commonwealth title or eliminators. So I think, I'm assuming that's sort of the whole MTK pool. Maybe if there's any local fighters that we think could get involved in that.
I know. I think I've seen online that John Green's going to be involved in that somewhere, and I know it might not be a headline fight or whatever, but I always think he's a lightweight that's been around for a while now. Came back after an absence, and he's on the comeback again. And I think someone like John Green v say Jordan Ellison, another well-respected travelled lightweight, Northern Area lightweight title could be a good scrap. Good fun fight. I think there's some good lightweights up here, like Luke Cope will be trying to get on that scene soon.
Obviously, John Green, the first time we saw him was when he fought Peter Cope at the Summer Rumble, and again, talking about those sort of area level fights that don't get
Dan Cope back in there against Snaith. Get
the rematch on.
Honestly, too.
Well, honestly, I know Steve Wraith had said that Billy Snaith was meant to be coming back, and you think, okay, well, that again, chuck him on that sort of card. But then, as I say, if we're looking for a headline, we obviously mentioned Darren there being fringe. The one that I thought, and I'd said to you just again before we started recording, was Troy Williamson, who was he's as far as I'm aware, he's still with MTK. I know he signed with promotionally with Frank Warren.
Yeah.
He fought to a draw in what was by all accounts one of the fights of the year.
Stuck on it, but he floated about midnight.
And hardly anyone's seen it. So I think making maybe the rematch of him was Jack Flatley that he boxed on that night. And again went to a draw, so there's a bit of unfinished business there for both lads.
Again, a fighter like Darren who's sort of trying to get past that prospect stage now and trying to sort of kick on.
And I know he's fought in the WSB before he turned pro, and again someone sort of Team GB pedigree and really well respected. I've seen a picture of him. He's been sparring Anthony Fowler recently, and he's at that point, as you say, where he's sort of moving into double figures of fights, and is ready, I think, to push on, get maybe hopefully an English title or some sort of eliminator. I don't know the ins and outs of what it would take to get that sanctioned as an eliminator or something, where he ranks there. But
I guess we're looking at it from a northeast angle, which is obviously what we've sort of been asked. But maybe MTK have got,
Well, it's what you said though before about
MTK have got ideas for.
I could list 10 fighters from MTK that I think would go well and box well against each other and stuff. But as you said, they've got 6 fights in 6 weeks, so most of them are probably occupied.
I just thought of another. Sorry, I
was in.
No, not for this one, but going back, Paddy Gallagher, Freddie Kiewit the other week again there was another class fight, proper mid fight. So these little headline fights they're putting on, I'm buzzing about.
But honestly, that's what I mean. You've got these lads who are sort of again roughly around the British title, maybe that little bit higher. You know what you're saying there, the fringe European level.
Another talented fighter that I think who will definitely have his eyes on at least Northern Area title fights is Jay Hughes, for a talented lightweight from MTK Newcastle stable. So
I thought of him on the way up because I was thinking
maybe him against John Green or him against Ellison. I don't know.
I'm not fine. I'll not thank you for matching him up with Ellison.
No, he's a good fighter, but you've got to get through people I know Ritson did as well. Anyone attempted Glenn Foot back into retirement? I seen him on Facebook yesterday saying, I'd love the Ritson fight because Ritson's moving on. And Ritson commented back saying, if I pay with good enough money, Glenn will have it. You know what I mean? Good natured, but that'll be a cracking fight for this
Well, region. On that note, again, not strictly linked to MTK, but Josh Leather announcing that he's on the comeback trail.
Has he announced again? Is he done this week? Has he announced again?
Yeah, recently. I the tweet he followed me back on Twitter.
I noticed that.
He tweeted something about that he's got a fight date lined up or something.
I didn't see that. That's interesting. So maybe it could be him. Because I know...
Because again, it's literally straight away underneath someone was like, Glenn Foot rematch, question mark.
Jeff Saunders is training again. And
Another one, I thought him, like, he's in that light welterweight category.
Been out of action for over a year now. But
there's so many you could pair off.
There's some good names there that you could actually pair off, aye.
So, but honestly, like, if you just look
Forrest wants to have a sit down and with British Boxing Blog matchmakers that he's working, hitting the names all night. But be a good night that. I think the North East scene's had a bit of a slow start. We might as well stay on the North East scene for now. Slow start of the year. The first show was actually...
I'm just going to keep shouting out
the first show was Saturday, just gone, which neither of us could make it, unfortunately, could we? You in Dusseldorf in a stag do, and I was recovering from an EO operation. Oh, Saturday the 23rd of February, was sorry. So that was a 3-fight dinner show that Steve Wraith had in Darlington. And then, I think, got a couple of weeks until the next one, 16th of March, Raton Meadows.
It's set to be another packed card, isn't it? And
10 fights, 10 bouts he's got on up to now, Jaffers. Joe Laws is back on there as well. I know a lot of people ask us about Joe Laws as well. And
yeah, there's actually another question about him from Tom Marley.
Go on.
At Tom Marley 10 on Twitter has asked, Joseph Laws versus Conor Benn, end of the year, question mark.
Love to see it. It gets me a bit annoyed, this one. I'd love to see it because...
It's something I never even thought of.
Well, I thought you should say it about Darren Richardson and Conor Benn.
Well, yeah, that was the one.
Richardson used to chase him on Twitter going, how I'll fight you, and it was just like, they're not going to do it, man.
But he's another one. He's like ranked 6 with the WBA, Conor Benn. And he's something like that. He's top 10. And then he went up in the rankings without having boxed. And you're like, well, again, how is that happening? Who's that benefiting?
Who's pushing that?
Who's the WBA champion? Is it Pacquiao? Has he got that belt? You know what I mean? Like, imagine chipping Conor Benn in like with Thurman or in Pacquiao or even Broner or something like that. But like, then even when they talk about him and Josh Kelly, I was like, Kelly's like a prospect. He's had fewer fights. He's levels above.
Well, that's it.
But like Joe Laws would be bang up for it.
Joe Laws
cracking little scrap.
He would be a class fight that. But I can't see the Russian.
Do you know who that Tom Marley is, by the way?
No, who?
He's the boxing captain for Seconds Out Gym, Spennymoor.
No, is he really?
Yeah, he won it, and again, I don't know what level title it was, but he won a belt on their home show when I was watching. He was like the main event of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good question.
Good little lad, eh?
Thank you. But no, I'd love to see Conor Benn put him with like a English level contender, someone will hit him back.
But again, it's that risk, isn't it?
Pino caused them all sorts of problems. That's a shame that Chris Congo got called off.
Yeah, again, that would have been a good test for Congo.
Didn't get on the float on the Eubank-Degale show, but it got paid, which is good to hear.
With Conor Benn, he's at that, when we talked about Dubois and Gorman before, you just want to see him in a meaningful fight to gauge where he's at. Like, I don't want to hear like how gutsy and brave he is and all this blah blah blah. Yeah, fine, he is that. Like, I'm not doubting that he's got heart, and he showed that in the Pano fight to come through that. But don't then give him this WBA belt and ranking and try and con me that he's in the top 10 in the world, because he's nowhere near.
When you fought nobody of note in this country.
What's his name, like Johnny Garden?
Kane Baker's probably Cedric Payne's probably the best two names in his record, and you're like, but I'd love to see him against a Joe Laws in a year's time, or a Darren Richardson or something. But I just if you're matchroom or if you're Conor Benn's manager,
why?
He's a name in his own little way, so you're not.
Carving out his own little niche, isn't he?
You're not going to get him beat, so again, I can't say that happening, but as much as I'd love to. But yes, North East scenes coming alive a bit. We've got 16th of March, Black Flash up here on the 29th of March, Friday night. Pat Barrett's return to the region.
I was just going to say, there's a link with MTK there, is it?
I think Darren Ray is on that. I was going to say
a couple of Darren Ray and maybe another, might be mistaken, but like, I don't know if that's confirmed or all.
No, I think it is. We've got two. It's just not really well publicised. Two shows in March, then a bit of a month gap until that MTK night, which we're very much looking forward to. So North East scenes getting a bit busier again. So a lot of prospects looking to step up now and maybe approach at least northern area sort of level, which would be good to see. A lot of people at the same stage as well, though. Just a few fights, but some names in there, say like a Sweaty and stuff, who are definitely looking to push on from.
Yeah, you just want to see them get the opportunities, don't you? And
you do.
Like, not have to sort of hang around for one big show coming to the region. Like,
which is why I'm always
the smaller ones.
Always a dick advocate of area title fights. Do you know what I mean? So we've seen some good ones over the years up here, so that's always a good, always gets the fans there in the numbers and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that.
So one more sort of question based around the northeast.
Go on.
And then we've got a Belton question that I didn't even know the answer to. First one from Danny Boy Frost. It's confirmed Ritson will be stepping up to 140 for his fight at the Copper Box.
My special subject, Ritson.
I know, it's like the weekly Ritson. Do you feel he should go through the domestic mix at the new weight as he did at 135, or aim for a higher level now based on the ease he dealt with the domestic level at 135? Bit of a mouthful there for hashtag Ask Brit Boxing Blog.
We could be wrong here, but there's an update released from his dad, Dave Ritson, today, saying that Lewis will be boxing for a title on the Cotterbox show at 10 stone, so me and you both automatically assumed some sort of WBA Intercontinental, which may answer
massive opportunity, highly prestigious belt.
May answer your own may answer the question there. That I don't know, domestically at that weight, I think the Robbie Davis fight, maybe he's in a bit down the line. Say how Ritson grows into that weight is a cracking fight.
It really is, and I think it's a tough one. I'm obviously joking there about like the WBA. I'm not picking a winner on that one. The WBA belt, because I've literally just spent the whole podcast slamming them, so I'd be a massive hypocrite if I was then to turn around and say, oh, it's a good fight for Ritson or whatever, because it's not. But it's not something I'm particularly keen on, those belts.
No, it's not.
Because what has basically happened is, for whatever reason, whether it's the weight, whether it was his performance, whether it was his opponent, he's cleaned up British level at lightweight. He's stepped up to European without that bridge in between, because it probably doesn't always exist. And then he's come up short. So then I always hate to see fighters just sort of blame a defeat on the weight. No. But I can see why it obviously has an impact on all the rest of it.
I think with Ritson being closer to him than we are most, I think it makes sense just because he was a big lightweight, wasn't he? And I remember that open workout the last time they met with Centre, and I just thought before Patera, and you look back and the YouTube interview we did with him, and he didn't look particularly great that night, and you know what I mean? He maybe a bit irritable and a bit drawn, and I don't know. You just think, I don't know. Maybe he's
and it was
£5 to a big lightweight, mate. Going 135 to 140
and
might make a big difference.
Cannot remember who it was I was talking to ages ago about this. Enzo McManelli rings a bell, and I apologise if it wasn't him. But there was some boxer I was tweeting and saying about cutting weight and sort of moving up in weight, and when do you know that you're not ready. And I think it was regarding Selby and Warrington, and they were saying all the way through camp you could feel fine.
Yeah.
And it's only at that last when you literally get into the weigh-in, and it's hard to shift those last couple of pounds.
Well,
that's the impact that it has, and you have to then put your body through hell to get there and make that last little bit of weight.
Just touching on that, though,
and it's only on fight night that you actually know.
Well, he touched on this on Twitter to us and someone else the other day. As
I dived back in, didn't he?
And then someone called Carl D 1984 said everyone thought he was the force of lightweight until he fought someone who didn't walk under his punches and boxed him a bit. Then Ritson replied saying, "No, Carl, I was dead at the weight, was in the sauna an hour, steam room an hour, and trained with a sweatsuit on for 2 hours to lose 1 pound in weight." He says if I didn't stop him in 5 rounds, then I was in bother, which he was. And when someone goes into specifics like that, and you just think, I'm sure he's telling the truth, he's got no reason to lie.
Yeah, of course.
You just think that's what you said about specifics about different.
With all respect and love towards Lewis, I think his problem is he's still, even moving up in weight, he's almost at that point where he's into some decent.
I think some cracking fights.
Some decent British level fights for him.
Some good northeast fights. Josh Leather.
But then does he stay?
Does he stay
obviously that's the question, isn't it? Does he stay at that domestic level? Does he? Does Eddie Hearn or whoever feel that he has to prove himself at domestic level there? Because you couldn't confidently say he's light years above Robbie Davis Jr., for example. So then he's in between that British and European level again, and it's almost I
don't think they'll rush him. I think
let him crack on.
I think he'll.
But the fact it's for a WBA whatever, and again we're assuming this, we don't know. It might be for a vacant British or something. If Robbie's vacated that, we don't know. We're all speculating, yeah. But assuming it's for a WBA, then he's almost navigating the way around the European title, and within a few fights could be in that world title mix, and it's an
interesting one because it's whether you do, as you say, start from scratch.
Which I don't particularly agree with that, Bruce.
Start from scratch, or do you try and I know he lost to Patel, but you try and keep that momentum about him. Do you know what I mean? And keep him in meaningful fights at least, which I think there is some good fights out there for him at that weight, and I do think it suits him being a bigger lad. And I think if he carries his power up to that weight, then of course he'd be a threat. And
definitely.
On the other hand, like, he's blasted British lads out at lightweight level, so you know who would you like to see him in against? I think Robbie Davis further down the line would be a cracking fight. Two good lads and just a mid fight.
Like from a North East point of view, as you said, like Josh Leather, Glenn Foot.
Glenn Foot's a funny one. I know they're very close, and obviously they have the same manager. And
they've sparred together.
Glenn Foot's not retired here, but maybe that fight would entice him out. He said as much on his Facebook the other day. He says, "Oh, I'd love it," and then, as I said, Ritson put like a jokey reply saying that like they're giving the money.
I was going to say, you can imagine it being like a good little build up. You can imagine Glenn just turning on him.
Well, that's it. I know, even though they're
angry little man,
even though they get on well and stuff, of course he would. But probably won't.
But then he's held, from all the reports, and that Ritson's held his own sparring in America with some 140 fighters. And
we've seen some footage, didn't we? We got sent some Twitter inboxes from his manager and stuff, and boxing Mayweather prospect, and I think Mikael Lespierre as well. Hugas, Poland. So I just think it suits him, and I think he's obviously had that sort of time away from Patera, gone over there to the States, and obviously boxing some bigger lads.
Seems like re-energised himself a bit.
Going over there with Tommy Ward's probably done the world of good, and boxing these bigger lads, thinking, actually, it's going alright. This why, as I've just said, why drain myself?
Might kill myself.
Kill myself to make that when I could eat properly and stuff.
Fold me over.
So and I think it does him good boxing in London next as well.
The pressure's off a bit in it, and
pressure's off.
Too cheering him on.
He was a man with a lot of pressure on him. I'd be us too. We're going down a lot of pressure on him in that Patera night, and just takes him a bit away again. And I thought the Town End fight was a good fight actually.
I was a tasty little matchup. Again, that was almost like that step back on it.
So I was, but I think it was two punches. But that's Town End fancies making that weight. I don't know, but I doubt it. But
I think imagine you'll be holding out for the British at that level.
But it is this month, and
especially if it's now vacant.
It's coming up to about a fortnight away, less than 3 weeks away. So you'd assume an opponent's going to be named fairly sharpish, like. Especially if Davey Ritson's now had confirmation, so hopefully you'd like to think that opponent's going to be in the next few days. So
I can't imagine it being any great shakes. Like
neither can I.
It's just his first fight, the new weight, and testing the water.
Exactly.
Someone he should beat.
But once we get a name, we'll react to that. Just had a brain move there. What was I going to plug? Oh, competition. Got a competition.
Let's go, champ.
Let's go, champ. Anyone want to come and see Shannon Briggs with me and him? It's Friday. We've got 5 pairs of entry-only tickets to give away for an evening with Shannon Briggs at the Newbridge Hotel in Newcastle on Friday the 22nd of March. We're running that competition from today for a week. We're giving 2 pairs away via Facebook, 2 pairs away via Twitter, and a pair of tickets away via Instagram.
So if you find the pinned tweet,
if you look,
is it a pinned post on Facebook as well?
Yeah.
And then is it just one of the most recent ones on Instagram?
The most recent one on Instagram,
all the instructions are on there, so
pretty easy format to basically like and share.
We're not even limiting the sort of entries and stuff, like you can enter on all platforms if you want.
So you've got a week. So
you'll only win on one of them, unfortunately. But
should be a good night. Steve Wraith obviously has a lot of big names up here. Shannon Briggs is the next one. So we've got some tickets to give away for that. So it's the night before the Copper Box, Friday the 22nd of March.
A lot of the talkings like that I find quite generic. Steve will not thank me for saying that, but like Shannon Briggs should genuinely be a good laugh.
It'd be a good.
It can't be anything other than entertaining.
Friday night in Newcastle with Shannon Briggs. What more do you want? So feel free to have a look at any of our socials that I've just mentioned and get yourself entered into that.
And on the subject of early 2000s heavyweights, Oliver McManus says, "What do you make of Danny Williams still fighting out in Austria?"
Mental.
I didn't even know.
Neither did.
Mental. Tragic.
He put
mad. Shocking. What is going on?
He won.
That's the most shocking bit.
It was a dubious decision apparently. It is. He's obviously got his reasons, since obviously some people are giving him a licence. I don't know who, probably not the British board, obviously the Austrian Board of Control or whatever. But mental, it is mad. Almost as bizarre as Prince Patel going to Hungary. And, it's just mad. Tragic, like you say. But
2 more wins, right? And he'll be headlining the O2.
He's back. Danny Williams is back.
We'll come back.
Stay well. But But no, it's
Sokolowski Brown too, the rematch.
I'm not really sure how it's hard to answer his question without making it sound like a joke question, because it's obviously not. And he is a real life fighter who's still fighting. And
yeah, like obviously I can't
like
literally laugh at there, I can't help it, but like
I want to sign Danny Williams' framed picture at the auction. And
you did,
Tyson's through the ropes and Danny Williams is laying into her, and signed Danny Williams. So I'm having knee grief with Danny Williams at this podcast, I tell you.
No, but in all honesty and truth,
like
he shouldn't be, should he? Like,
he shouldn't be, no, of course.
He's saying he's got his reasons. It's like obviously Roy Jones Jr. recently is the most sort of, I don't know, cautionary tale, famous tale of ones who've just gone far beyond their sell-by date. And like,
but who advises him? Does he have a manager at this point, or is he just a one-man band of I'm Danny Williams, I'm off to fight?
Yeah, like, is he, as you say, like, it's probably, again, like, if we're talking seriously, it'd be worth looking into and investigating how he's getting his license, what sort of condition he's actually in. Like you hinted out there, the fact that it's the Austrian border control, I'm assuming the Austrian border have a border control. But like,
I guess so,
like the fact that he's not getting a British license sort of screams out to me that there's something not right, that he shouldn't, like, he's not in the position to be boxing, yet he still is. And
it is, it's just a shame. Like, I don't know how you can look at that and like, is he, say is he skint, but like,
no, that's what you've got to speculate, isn't it? Like,
it's
obviously it's easier said than done to hang the gloves up, but we talked right at the start of the pod about Degale knowing when was the right time to bow out, and I'd seen a few people think, I could have gone on and sort of boxed a bit lower level.
He's still beaten in 4. He won.
I'm trying to be serious and like solemn, and then you're cracking on about his record.
He won the Global Boxing Federation World Heavyweight title, and actually Boxrec hasn't updated from his fight like last weekend or something.
So
Boxrec's got his last fight as the 11th of the 5th of the 11th or the 11th of the 5th 2018. So I've got no idea what's going on, but it's mental. Like,
and again, like, we come back to the same
was
sorts of issues with like the fragmented nature of boxing, the fact that you can just circumnavigate like rules and regulations, and like obviously Hay and Chisora did it for their fights when they couldn't get the British license, and
9 years ago since he boxed
was it a
Chisora
for license
for the British, 7 years ago since he boxed Christian Hammer, and it's just like, what, you know.
I reckon you'd still give Pricey a good go.
No, I don't. No, Pricey would smash him. But I don't know. It's just quite sad, really. And it's a good question. It's good to highlight it because, you know, it's and the automatic response is to sort of laugh, but
it is. Like, we did, and we can't like we can't come out and say we did anything else.
There must be quite a sad human tale to that as well. Like
yeah, and obviously
what's going on,
knowing the impact that boxing can have on long-term health, and
well, that's
you look at the mental side of it and the impact on the brain and all the rest of it, and like there is a
lot of examples
sad
over the years.
tale there, yeah.
Fought
like
too long.
How old is Danny Williams? Late 40s.
You'd think so.
Like he's not going to be doing his long-term health any good.
45-year-old man.
45, so like he's obviously in a position where, for whatever reason, whether it's financial, whether it's like, I don't want to say ego, but like it's beyond the love. It's beyond the love. Beyond the love of the game.
It is. That's you'd hope with it. Like it's
but like
sad.
It's just like, and again, obviously, you know, he's found a way somehow. Like who is in charge? Who's responsible there? As you say, who's advising him? Is anyone advising him? Like you've got to look towards maybe his family and like.
It's mad,
this is
why I guess it's out of the public eye when it takes someone like Oliver there to highlight.
He's always on it as Oliver. Like,
he's good.
Unbelievable. Great source of information.
But speaking of heavyweights, just to randomly touch upon here, I've just read today that Gary Cornish has had to retire on medical advice. Which
who's advising him? That's not advising Danny Williams.
Exactly, and he's took up a role with Kinnick Boxing up in Scotland to sort of try and develop that in the Highland regions where he's from, Inverness and that. A fighter that I've probably seen more than you realise over the years. Solo trips up the old MTK Scotland shows and had a little decent career. His only losses was in a British title, you know, thin, narrow points loss, and Anthony Joshua there. So Gary Cornish bowing out of the sport, but wish him luck. But again, it's like nice man as well.
Yeah, he is. He's an absolute gent. I remember interviewing him at again one of those shows up in Scotland. I think it was Edinburgh. the Meadowbank, and like again, like it's going back to sort of our friends and like the cynical nature of certain boxing fans. They look at Gary Cornish and they know what's he done, blah blah blah. But like
when Joshua sparked him up.
Yeah, that's what unfortunately that's what he'll be known for in a lot of boxing fans' eyes. But in his own way, you know what I mean? Like winning record, he's retiring at a decent age.
He's a star in his own way. He's like the only boxer from the Highlands.
Yeah, and like
big business in Scotland.
And obviously, as you say, he's got a future in the sport, and like there's a lot of boxers who would kill for that sort of opportunity and have the chance to just work within the industry again and keep it going.
Anything else you want to touch on, or do you want to end it there, or what's anything else coming up?
I feel exhausted. Very good. Rant, got it all off my chest.
Frank Warren, Albert Hall show this Friday, so we'll watch that. Check in after that then.
A few live tweets of that one.
All roads lead to Raton Meadows on the 16th, then Cotterbox 23rd.
Yeah, busy time for us.
Busy time coming up, right? So
busy.
Next one.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 20.
I'd love to leave these in, you know.
Really class. Hello everyone. Fuck off. This is stupid, this. Hello. Oh, no. Wait, pause. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 23 of the British Boxing Blog.
Oh, it's so clever.
Right. Now. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 23 of the British Boxing Blog. So long-winded.
Who come up with that stupid fucking name for a website?
BBB. Triple V. British Blogcast. Nice. I haven't been this bad since episode 1.
Yeah.
Last time.
Right, ready. I'm going to go for it.
I need the toilet there, but it's right.
Hello and welcome to episode.
Hello.
Hello.
Just leave these in. Just do a set of outtakes episode. Episode 24, outtakes.
I'll just clear this up before the credit bit. Before a little video kicks in.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 23 of the British Boxing Blog podcast. That was it.
How fast was
short on me fucking can't be snack.
How fast was that? Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the British Boxing Blog podcast.
That's the way I can't get it out.
So you're commentating and fucking shouting.
I always need a wee. No, don't.
You go for a piss and then I'll record the air. I'll just do the intro and then we'll come back and we can just start talking.
Really?
Alright?
No, we can do it.
Right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need the toilet, Anna?
Not yet. When I do that, I need the toilet. Okay.
Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the British Boxing Blog podcast. With